Starmer begging the EU again. Reading between the lines, it's quite easy to see that Trump has given an ultimatum to Starmer and to the UK government. He said, in no uncertain terms, that tariffs will be put on all EU goods. So the EU are now saying we're going to do the same to the US, etc. And when it came to Britain, Trump turned around and said, it's possible that tariffs could be put on British goods, but I think we can work it out. In other words, it's not necessarily going to happen. In other words, the British government has to make a choice. Are you going to align yourself with the US, or are you going to align yourself with the EU? With Starmer flying off to this silly EU leaders summit that we have no business being at because we're not in the EU anymore, that shows us that Starmer and this government, unsurprisingly, are going to align themselves with Europe and completely cast Trump aside, which will mean possibly tariffs on British goods for trade between US and the UK. The US is booming, the EU is failing. It makes absolutely no economic sense or political sense to side with the EU. It's just that Starmer and his party are fanatics and cannot wait to take us back into the EU again. Another election pledge, we're not going back into the EU, was a complete and utter lie. And now the EU are crowing over this. Macron is going to make a public statement saying that Brexit has failed. All the other countries who want to see us back in there to pay tons of money into the EU are going to say the same thing. And guess what? If Starmer does try and take us back into there, not only will it take his approvals even further down, which he might not even care about anymore because he's that unpopular anyway, but the price to be paid for going back into the EU, going back to them cap in hand like this, will be a lot worse than what it would actually have been staying in the first place. As you all know, I didn't want to stay in. I'm a Brexiteer. I want to stay out of the EU. But these people are going to sell us down the river. We've seen how far they will go to discredit Britain on the world stage by trying to pay the Mauritians $9 billion to take the Chagos Islands.